A lot of people say wheat wrecks my stomach, but all my tests are normal. If that sounds like you, then this video is important because you may not have a wheat sensitivity or celiac disease. FODMAPs are a type of fermentable carbohydrate that reach the small intestine because they're poorly absorbed, where they're fermented by the microbiome, producing gas and bloating. FODMAPs are found in many foods besides just wheat, such as rye, barley, beans, cruciferous vegetables, dairy, and certain fruits. Importantly, this type of intolerance is not autoimmune in nature, such as celiac disease. In fact, it's not an immune reaction at all. FODMAP and wheat intolerance is an issue with digestion and the microbiome. And more importantly, this can be healed. So wheat specifically is high in a type of FODMAP called fructans. Fructans are carbohydrates that are poorly digested and absorbed, so they reach the lower portion of the small intestine where they can be fermented by the microbiome, producing a lot of gas and bloating. Some people can experience fecal urgency and cramping, and these symptoms typically occur within minutes or hours after ingesting the wheat or the high FODMAP food. Now, this is very different from a food sensitivity. Remember, food sensitivities, the symptoms typically show up maybe 24 to 72 hours after ingesting the food. And while food sensitivities may produce primarily GI symptoms like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, or abdominal pain, food sensitivities tend to have those extra intestinal manifestations like the brain fog, the fatigue, joint pains, skin rashes, those kinds of things. Whereas wheat intolerance tends to be limited just to the GI tract, and gas and bloating are the primary symptoms. Now, importantly, FODMAP intolerance does not produce the intestinal wall damage like in celiac disease, and it's not an immune reaction such as food sensitivities, so we don't see that inflammation within the lining of the gut. This is a functional digestive issue. So you shouldn't be surprised when your celiac disease testing is normal and maybe your food sensitivity panel doesn't show up with wheat. Those tests are designed to look at immune reactivity and genetic susceptibility rather than looking at the microbiome, digestion, and fermentation. So what do you do if you suspect that you might have FODMAP or wheat intolerance? An important first step is that if there's even a remote chance that you may have celiac disease, it's important to get tested and diagnosed, because the long-term consequences of eating gluten if you have celiac disease can be severe. So this needs to be diagnosed by a knowledgeable practitioner who can guide you step by step. If celiac disease is ruled out, then you can consider one of a few options. One, consider food sensitivity testing to look for immune reactivity. Or two, consider a comprehensive elimination diet by removing the most common trigger foods for 6 to 8 weeks while working on healing the lining of the gut, and then reintroducing foods one by one strategically to see which foods are causing reactivity for you. The comprehensive elimination diet is great for those people who suspect they may be reacting to a number of different foods, and especially people who have any extra intestinal manifestations where we really suspect food sensitivities are the issue. And option number 3 is if you suspect more of an intolerance, such as wheat intolerance, because you primarily have gas and bloating within minutes to hours after ingesting wheat, then maybe a low FODMAP diet is the right approach for you. A low FODMAP diet is typically followed for a period of 6 to 8 weeks while working on digestion and the microbiome, and then strategically reintroducing FODMAP foods one at a time and looking for any type of reaction. If you'd like to learn more about high FODMAP foods, let me know by leaving a comment below. Is there a specific test for FODMAP intolerance? Yes, but it can be tricky. Some labs offer a test for SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is a condition commonly associated with FODMAP intolerance. This test is looking for overgrowth of certain bacteria within the small intestine, leading to fermentation of these fermentable carbohydrates. It's a good test clinically, but I've found that it's a little tricky to follow, and the instructions leading up to the test are very specific. In order to get accurate results, you must follow the proper diet for 72 hours prior to the test, which is quite restrictive and may not be practical for everyone. The other tricky part about the SIBO breath test is that interpretation needs to be approached carefully, and working with a trained, knowledgeable practitioner is very important when interpreting SIBO breath tests. So with wheat intolerance, it's not uncommon for people's symptoms to vary by day or by week. Some days you may handle wheat a little better than others, and that's because there's always changes to the microbiome, our stress level changes, the amount of sleep, the amount of hydration, what other foods we've eaten that day. All of these things matter and contribute to the variability in symptoms, which is a big clue that maybe this is FODMAP intolerance and not a food sensitivity. So how do you approach FODMAP intolerance from a functional medicine perspective? Well, we typically advise a short-term FODMAP elimination diet for 6 to 8 weeks while actively supporting digestion, absorption, and the microbiome. Foundational support includes having daily bowel movements. This is really important. If you're not going to the bathroom at least once a day, that's a problem and we need to address it. This may mean that we need to increase hydration, we may need to increase physical activity and movement, the right types of fiber and phytonutrients, and sometimes adding magnesium is important, all for bowel motility and regularity. It's also really important to address chronic stress because there's a deep connection between the gut and the brain, and this is extremely powerful and often overlooked. We have to look at the microbiome, address any deficiencies or overabundance, and treat SIBO if present. And then supporting digestion and absorption through a comprehensive approach will lead to the best results. So the goal here with FODMAP intolerance or wheat intolerance is not about lifelong restriction. It's about temporary reduction, restoring proper digestion, absorption, optimizing the microbiome, and then strategically reintroducing one food at a time until you're back to eating a nice, robust, full diet. Most people with wheat intolerance can tolerate wheat once again once digestion improves and the microbiome is rebalanced. So if you've enjoyed this series, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps this new channel grow. And if there's specific topics you'd like me to cover in future series, please let me know. Leave a comment. I read every single one. I'm Dr. Kate, and thanks for being here.